Hawks fans, I always say you beat an ant with a sledgehammer, and that's what these Atlanta Hawks have done, and this makes Hawks fans very confident. The last two games, the Atlanta Hawks have definitely had some emphatic wins versus opponents that, let's just say, they need some help. But these Atlanta Hawks have definitely done their job. They've handled business. Myself and Chris Tipmore, we're definitely going to be here, and we're going to talk about it all. We're going to dissect the last game, of course, versus the Charlotte Hornets. Actually, very good win. Nickeil Alexander getting the last-second steal. You dig what I'm saying? And ended the game on a very high note for the Atlanta Hawks. But also, too, we're definitely going to dig into the last 5-game stretch, and we're going to highlight a couple of players that have definitely done their due diligence for these Atlanta Hawks. Chris, how has everything been, my brother?
I can't complain, man. It's good being a Hawks fan. Hope those everybody who's watching has left those shoes by the door and getting ready for what's in store for this video. Yes, man. Hawks picking up a good quality win over. And the reason why it's a quality win because the Charlotte Hornets has been a thorn in our side for the past few seasons.
Yes,
so it's good to get a win against those guys. They're a scrappy bunch. They have some shooters over there as well, but ultimately, coming off of a back-to-back, it's good to get that win in for sure.
Oh, of course. And two, again, we're going to definitely highlight somebody that I believe has definitely done an amazing job these last few games, as well as just stepping in while Trae Young is not in the lineup. Again, he's going to be reevaluated on November 30th, so the time is coming along. Hopefully, Trae doesn't eat too much on Thanksgiving, but he will be reevaluated on the 30th. Hopefully, we'll have him back in time for the Atlanta Hawks to proceed in the in-season tournament, the Emirates Cup.
Yeah.
Though I think the Hawks, they only got one loss in the Emirates Cup, correct?
Right.
And
right.
I think
Game against the Toronto Raptors.
Right. And the next Emirates Cup game they're going to be playing will be on Tuesday versus the Washington Wizards. So we definitely hope for a good outcome with that. But before we get into all of that, that there's always going to be some home, things we always do. We thank everybody, the 2,827 people that have subscribed to this page. We do appreciate you guys, man. We couldn't do it without you guys. Myself, Chris Tipmore, we do appreciate everybody. Here at Digest Media, we do appreciate everyone for what you guys do. Definitely keep, talking within the comments amongst yourselves. Myself and Chris Tipmore, we will definitely chime in and get into some good convo with you guys. And then also, to the 52% of you that have not subscribed, definitely keep watching because we know that you're looking at our stuff, and we'll definitely continue to deliver some good news to you guys, especially regarding the Atlanta Hawks. So tonight, things definitely happened. Definitely things got down to business. We definitely, would you say it came down to the wire, Chris?
Absolutely came down to the wire. I mean, this game right here was such a seesaw. We had 15 lead changes, 8 times the game was tied. And, each quarter really was like, okay, we're going to win this quarter. No, then the next quarter, okay, we're going to win this one because, again, just a seesaw all night long. A game of runs, definitely a game of runs. You see multiple runs by both teams trying to stretch leads, and then the other team will walk them back down. But ultimately, this battle right here was mostly won for the Atlanta Hawks in the paint, I believe, 66-48. So you love to see that, us being able to dominate the paint more so than get dominated in the paint. And then, of course, having 17 fast break points and making sure that the Hornets have 0. So that means they had to work for everything that they had. Charlotte did. And also, you can't deny it. Those 23 points off turnovers. They were big, especially when you see the final score. Those were big, being able to have those 23 points off of the turnovers compared to 8 for those Charlotte Hornets, those guys who have been a thorn in our side again over the past few seasons. So it's good to get a good win over these guys.
And also, too, limiting our turnovers. It's good to get turnovers on the other team, but limiting our turnovers, because there's been a few games. Yes, keep it in the single digits, okay? Because there's been a few games I've seen where the Atlanta Hawks have definitely gotten their share of turnovers on the opposing team, but then also given the ball back to the opposing team. So definitely a good look on that end. And again, like I always say, having multiple people in double digits definitely looks good for the Atlanta Hawks. Definitely having that going on is definitely awesome.
For sure, for sure. I mean, again, having guys, in double figures, multiple guys in double figures, especially high double figures. You have 4 guys in the 20s tonight, and that just lets you know the ball is moving around. Keaton Wallace, he did add 10 points, as well. So again, 5 in double figures, but all the way down, the rest of the starters and slash one bench player, and those guys, they went to work. Dyson Daniels was not just Dyson Daniels. He was, as I like to call him, Dyson Lamar Daniels
Dyson
tonight.
Lamar Daniels, yes, sir.
And then he's been doing his thing.
He's definitely done his job.
He's definitely his cousin's family, and you can definitely see it out there. He's trying to continue to improve on his game. And the thing about Nikhil, something that we didn't talk about, but I'm just gonna throw it in there real quick. He did sign a shoe deal with Converse, so we're going to see. Yes, he did. He did. So we're going to be seeing Nikhil Alexander-Walker and some Converses. I know I've been seeing him rocking the SGAs a little bit more lately, but we could be having a signature Nikhil Alexander-Walker shoe. Maybe that's another reason why he seems a little bit more motivated this year. Definitely attacking, definitely in a bigger role than he was. I mean, he was doing similar things back in Minnesota, but you think about it, he has more freedom here in Atlanta.
Well,
definitely,
also too is
Trae Young being out.
Well, also too, just on the strength of the fact that that Trae Young is out of the lineup again.
That's
I think with a lot of this goes back even to last year with guys being out of the lineup. You saw how Zaccharie Risacher had an opportunity to get his sea legs, if you will, and get out on the floor early, and then even down to Asa Newell this year. He's had a couple of games where he's gotten out on the floor early and had an impact in some way. So definitely when guys are not available, Quin Snyder has done a very good job of reaching down into his bevy of guys, bench players, and bringing them out on the floor.
Right. Yeah, and speaking of Zach, he only had 5 points tonight, but he only played 21 minutes. I know that's kind of like around his average, but other guys were cooking at the same time. So, you got to factor that in as well. But, Zach will be fine. He just needs to continue to get opportunities and he'll be fine.
Yeah, for sure. I gotta I'd be wrong if I didn't say this guy is showing himself in the major way. Chris, I had talked about it. Well, let's before we get into that, Chris, we got to talk about these last few games that these Atlanta Hawks have had. In the last 5 games, the Hawks have gone 3-2. Gone 3-2, dating all the way back to what was it? Phoenix. I'm sorry, Phoenix. Dating back to Phoenix. They had a 2-game skid versus Detroit and San Antonio. You expressed to me in pre-production how you felt about these Atlanta Hawks just in general. You said you had some concern. Could you divulge into that really quickly?
Well, my concern would be, well, first of all, the Hawks are still gelling. So let's not think that they're finished with that first and foremost.
For sure.
But as far as like concerns, it's just recently, against New Orleans and against Charlotte. I mean, you had San Antonio as well. You was able to make the final score look manageable, but it definitely was we got smacked by those guys. And the New Orleans Pelicans, I do feel like we kind of let up on the gas at the end because we were really just running those guys out the gym. So for me, it's all about finishing and again hitting that ant with the sledgehammer, as you like to say. So so example for that, I gotta continue to have that be like a larger blowout than what it was. I can be nitpicking. I understand they're probably gonna get me in the comments about it, but
nah, I think they're good.
But I think honestly, that's just what I want from my Hawks. I want to see more improvement. Yes, we only had 7 turnovers. But if for those been watching my videos, your videos, our videos, we've been talking about keep those turnovers down. You got to keep those turnovers in the single digits because that's a recipe for success for these Hawks. But against, again, like the New Orleans Pelicans, who were without Zion Williamson, no Herb Jones, they're no DeJounte Murray. It's just multiple guys just out. And you were the lead should have been bigger than what it was to me. Now moving on to tonight with Charlotte, I just feel like those guys are a scrappy bunch. But Cade Knipple, yes, he can shoot, but he had too many shots. So he had 7 threes tonight. And yes, they've been a thorn in our sides, but at the end of the day, we are a better team than them right now overall. And I know they're dealing with some injuries. I know what they were missing quite a few guys themselves, even though they did have a quality squad out there tonight. So again, you just want to continue to see improvement, can stay in high energy on the defensive end, finishing games, finishing all the way through, playing a full 48 minutes. Yeah, playing a full 48 minutes all the way out. I don't think that's too much to ask for. Because again, sometimes we play down to our competition. We've seen that in the past with not only our Hawks, but just all of our Atlanta teams. So with that being said, hopefully this year we'll continue to beat teams that we're supposed to beat, and we'll continue to build a new identity and not have this, teams, being in close games with the Atlanta Hawks when the Hawks clearly are better.
And we saw that also too. Just to add to that point, going back to the San Antonio game, the Hawks brought it within one. As a matter of fact, they took the lead, and then all of a sudden allowed multiple turnovers within seconds, and San Antonio was able to pull away 8-0 run. It was in the fourth quarter, and turnovers definitely they have to find a way to limit the turnovers. Allow for and also to not get rattled. Again, the San Antonio game was just a game to point out for sure. Detroit, I feel as though, of course, not Nikhil, but KP was not available for that game, and size was definitely a major issue. But the Hawks did play very well considering the size differential between Detroit and the Hawks. But when you go again to San Antonio, very evenly matched. In both of those games, Detroit and San Antonio, the Hawks played well. But again, it was down the stretch that they allowed for the game to get outside of them, or the moment was too big for them. So these are the moments, and this is to anybody that is in the comments. These are the moments where Trae Young should be there. We've seen in times before where
we definitely miss a ball handle.
Yeah, for sure. We've seen times before where Trae Young has delivered games to us, and also he's lost games for us. But I do believe this time that he's been off the court, he's been able to see which player is thriving in which situation and which player might not necessarily be that. And I believe if he's paid very close attention, I think he can definitely use these players to his advantage once he returns. So my statement to the people in the comment land, and y'all can drag me over the coals as well. I'm excited for Trae Young to get back. What I've seen with these Hawks is that they are more than capable of beating teams that they're supposed to and sticking in games against teams that you might think differently about. But with Trae Young returning to the lineup, hopefully around December 1st, as a matter of fact, around December 1st, they take on Detroit again. So this will be an opportunity for Trae Young to come back, assert himself as the number one guy, and hopefully we can we can get back on track.
But the thing about it is, it's always that reevaluate. I hate the word reevaluate because that never is a guarantee.
True.
And that's my thing is I want to hear a guarantee about Trae Young is coming back. And then when Trae Young comes back, yes, he needs to be that ball handler. And because you can have assists, but when you have Trae, you do have assists. Now, my question is, will he be able to buy into everything that the Hawks have been doing? And also, can he help limit the turnovers? You know what I'm saying? Because the Hawks are, for the most part, we've done pretty well on turnovers. We still have had our games 17, 18, 19 turnovers. But still, ultimately, what I want to see the Atlanta Hawks do is just continue to improve, even when Trae Young does indeed come back. So like I just want to keep that in perspective. Oh, and before I forget,
Okay.
before we move on, another reason, just to add to your point, another thing the Hawks have got to stop doing, and I've said it before, they've got to stop digging themselves into a
For
hole,
sure.
or getting into a hole and then have to dig themselves out of. Similar to San Antonio, we climbed back into that game, yes. Took the lead, yes. But one thing we couldn't do was finish. And I do credit part of that being, hey, man, we used a lot of energy coming back on this team. So that's what I'm saying. The Hawks got to stop shooting themselves in the foot like that, getting behind the 8 ball and having to battle back. And then at the end of the game, you kind of don't use up the energy to kind of give you that extra push because you've been battling back all game long. And now you finally don't caught up, but the energy is gone, So
Yeah. I do agree.
that's a trend I just been noticing. Whether we win or lose the game, it's just that's a trend that I'm noticing. The Hawks will fight, and they'll get back into it, but they don't have enough to finish because they didn't have enough. Whether the shots wasn't going down, whatever, foul trouble, etc. So we've got to find.
Detroit too. Again, with the Detroit game, they just weren't able to knock down shots. I mean, goodness gracious. On one end,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, on one end you play against Phoenix. I mean, they couldn't miss, but then you go up against Detroit and you just couldn't. And Detroit was hitting everything.
And you can't turn the ball over against that team. I'm just being real.
Can't.
Detroit is too good. And they have capable guys up there, great coaching staff. So at the end of the day, you can't do that against them. And same thing with San Antonio. Of course, we know the pedigree of San Antonio, and they just have people that just plug into it, keeping it going. So the Atlanta Hawks, I think overall, we're still gelling. We'll be fine, but you just want to continue to see improvement. You don't want to see the lack of energy. You do want to see them continue to finish.
Now, on a brighter note, yes, finish. Now, on a brighter note, I do have to, before we get out of here, I got to give a major shout out to Jalen Johnson.
Yes.
These last 5 games, dating back to Phoenix again, point total 25, 25, 26, 18, and 28. This guy has, I mean, because only on the year he's averaging 22 points a game, but these last 5 games, again, stepped up in a major way. He's done a very, very good job just being present. A couple of major dunks these last couple of games against tonight. Also got a good one, a good poster. I don't know if I was able to get that on the screen, but he got a major poster. So that was also very good of him as well. So major shouts out to him. Chris, you got anybody that you wanted to shout out before we get out of here?
For me, if there's anybody I got to shout out, I got to keep it real, and I got to say Vit Krejci. Vit Krejci, man, I'm so proud of Vit Krejci and like how he's been playing. Now I understand tonight wasn't, the best night as far as shooting or scoring wise for Vit Krejci, but just overall,
got 1 point.
His confidence and just the way that he's been shooting the basketball. I'm just waiting on Luke Kennard to, fully acclimate himself as an Atlanta Hawk. And once those two guys get to going, you're going to have like the luxury of having 2 guys that can knock down shots when guys are penetrating, like Trae, like Nikhil, like Dyson, and they can kick out guys like that. Like, it's going to be excellent, bro. I can't wait for it. I'm waiting for I feel like as the season progressed, depending on the games and everything, you were going to start to see even more Asa Newell, Muhammad Gay. My thing is for Mo G, man, like, yes, I do want him to score, but I just love his presence on the other end, some more anything.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah, man, Mo G is a guy saying it was so funny because Mo G is a guy who doesn't really like to eat like that. So he said the hardest training session for him this offseason was first forcing himself to eat 3 times a day and a couple snacks in between that just so he can gain a little bit of weight. So it's just, I thought that was interesting because, hey, you see it paying dividends as well. He's more physical. He's more confident. He's meeting people at the rim. He still has that slender frame, but that's just going to be him. At the end of the day, he has that effort. And that's what you do want. You do want effort guys. You want size too, but you do want effort guys. And I love seeing Moji. So shout out to Moji, shout out to Vit Krejci, and just the Atlanta Hawks all overall, because again, these could be games that you could be losing, but you are winning the games. So salute to the guys for sure.
Beating that with a sledgehammer. That is what we do here at Atlanta. We beat them with a sledgehammer. That I rhymed in that. I didn't even know.
There you go,
Chris
bro.
Tipmore.
There you go, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, man, y'all be on the lookout, man. Me and Walter Pollard, man, may drop the Hawks Digest album. You just don't even.
Would be dope.
Who knows?
That would be dope.
Who knows?
That's Chris Tipmore. I'm Walter Pollard. We appreciate everybody for stopping by and just checking us out, man. We do appreciate you guys, and the album's coming out soon. This is Hawks Digest, and like always, people, we signing out. Peace.